Hello, hello, good morning. I have the pleasure to lead the conversation today with all these beautiful people on stage here. Like it was mentioned, we're going to talk a bit about AI on chain. And I think the best way to start the convo is to get maybe some semantics and experiences out of the way. So I'd want to go down the line and just have everyone say a few words about what your sort of personal and work experience is using AI, so everyone has a bit of a better idea what perspective you're coming from in this conversation, and yeah, how are you using AI nowadays in general, not only on blockchain, and then we'll get into sort of how this all comes together with blockchain down the line. You can also just start, Devon, and then just popcorn it around, throw it to the next person.
Hi everyone, I'm Devon Martens. I am currently building Blocksite and SwartPay, so I'm a fractional CTO at SwartPay. And essentially how I'm using AI is we take wallet data and we predict its next move. So this helps both protocols and liquidity providers understand if liquidity or users are at risk of leaving, and how they should support those users and protect their money. Who's next?
You decide. You just pass it on to the next person, and then.
All right. So hello everyone. At SEB, I am a data scientist in charge of putting these AI agents to work for us. There are many initiatives, and we are making a lot of progress in this regard, especially when it comes to optimizing internal processes. So traditional banking is a lot of paperwork, and these AI agents are very suitable for this. And we are putting in place many agentic workflows that allows to optimize a big chunk of the business. And this is where we see the most of the advantages. And I am a technical person, so meaning that I'm driving this through code.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here today. And on my side, I'm mostly on the PR marketing side and as well media. So I use AI a lot for content generation, and as well I run a YouTube podcast. So AI is a perfect tool for making viral automated shots. Additionally, our team uses AI tools for different social media promotions, for automatic replies, and etc. On the personal side, of course, like everybody, I use a lot of chatbot interfaces and etc. But our clients use AI for different use cases, for AI payments, for AI trading, AI treasury management, DeFi yield optimization, and etc. And additionally, I'm developing an AI startup, which is currently in the stealth mode. It's called Autonomy Capital, and it's first autonomous institution which will finance end-to-end AI companies. So imagine that in the future, probably majority of companies will not be operated by humans. So there will be a lot of companies with just one or a few human employees, and everything else will be done by AI, because AI can much better make decisions, as well make analytics, analyze different data, market sentiment, and etc. So we're going to apply mostly specifically for automation of e-commerce trading. So AI agents will be able to decide what goods it's better to buy, when to sell, to whom to sell, and etc. And we see that already AI technology quite optimizes all the processes and can increase the efficiency and increase the profits of the companies.
Boris, I guess, now.
Sure.
The last option.
Yeah, hi, Boris. Very flattering picture here. Yeah, I'm originally, well, there are two parts because you mentioned it. Yeah, I'm the co-founder of Copper. My involvement is just being a shareholder now, which is quite nice. But Concordium, I think, was the calling for me for a while. Started thinking about AI in 2024, I think, when everybody was still using Perplexity as a proxy for Google. Concordium is in existence for a while. And the uniqueness about it for me at the time was that identity is built into the base layer. There are two more lines to this, which is protocol level tokens, meaning like protocol level issuance, stepping away from smart contracts. I know a thing or two about custody, and smart contract should never take custody of funds. Specifically lately we've seen that. And then protocol level locks. Now how does that apply to AI? At the beginning of the year, I've taken the decision in order to, number one, make the entire project agentic first, meaning we got rid of nearly 90% of the workforce, simply because we didn't need them anymore, specifically with the advent of Opus 4.6. But more importantly, move the entire chain towards the agentic economy, meaning that right now you have loads of agents. I mean, we're hearing it, you know, and you're reading it everywhere. Agents can trade, have access to your wallets, move funds, whatever else it is, but they're basically doing this as ghosts, specifically in a regulated advent where we're sitting with regards to, you know, rightly or wrongly, the crypto cypherpunk in me goes like, fuck the Clarity Act, but then again I would like to see it come to place because we just want to get DLT implemented globally. You need to have a level of accountability. And that currently does not exist. The only standard that is maybe a little bit known is ERC 8004, which in a nutshell doesn't do anything else but tell you that the agent that you interacted with yesterday is the same one you interact with today. We take this several levels further, meaning that you have an actual either human or business as an accountable party behind it. You interact in a completely privacy preserved way using zero knowledge proofs, and subsequently have a full audit trail, meaning that once in a business somebody has changed a prompt, you've got, I don't know which agent's doing X, Y, Z, and something goes wrong, you need to figure out of where it went wrong and why. And we're currently the only blockchain in the world that can do this.
Cool. And you use AI in your personal life?
Oh yeah, for everything. I can't remember, it's been about 1.5 or 2 months since I last wrote an email.
Cool. I think the other term that I want to sort of get out of the room is what an agent is. I think maybe César, I would like to hear your opinion on someone with a PhD on it. You might be the most qualified person on stage to have a shot at defining a word for us plebs here. And yeah, no, but I think it's a very fun sort of discussion. There's a spectrum of like how autonomous does an agent have to be an agent? Is it just about tool use, etc.? So maybe your opinion, and then if anyone else on panel sort of disagrees with it, let's we can have a short, lively conversation about that. But I find that is maybe a good term to get defined before we dive deeper.
Yes. So over the last few years, the concept is converging into an entity that executes, that takes actions. So that is the current definition of agents, like the most widely accepted. And that is fundamentally different from what we had before. Before we have the LLMs, and they gave us information. They were able to crunch a lot of data through the large neural network. But then, we managed to give these LLMs access to tools. Then we invented protocols like NCP and so on and so forth. And now we have fully agentic frameworks that can interact with the real world and then take actions. And this has completely changed the game, because now you don't need a human as before to crunch the information. Now you have an agent that does something, and then the human is more like a layer to verify what the agent does. Why? Because the agent still uses the transformer architecture, is non-deterministic, and it still has, still you cannot be 100% that the output is correct. So you have to always verify. And this, for finance, is critical. And now we go into the term agentic finance. So we grow a little bit, I mean, we narrow down in the scope. And then for agentic finance, it's an agent that can take financial decisions for us and then execute. And then we move into agentic finance for blockchain, and then I will let that to another one just to continue the discussion.
Anyone else have a point, Anna, on the what is an agent?
Yeah, so I would differentiate two times, and as well, we discussed with you before on the call that AI agents is considered when you totally automate all the decision making of this AI tool, of this AI agent. So before we had, and still we have a lot of bots, but they're scripted by the human, by the actions, what they need to do. Or either they operate in a simulated environment, so they don't have a full autonomy for their decisions, what to do next, what to buy, what to sell, or like what data analyze, where to go, to which site to go, to whom to write, to whom to send the payment, and etc. And in case of AI agents, this is totally automated, all their decision making. So you just give the general task, and then it decides the route for the solution. What will be the most optimal way to decide to resolve this or that task, and to give this or that output. And as well, I would like to add something on the statistics for AI agents. So we for the year since May 2025 till April 2026, we saw that over $73 million were settled as for 176 million transactions, but 76% of that was still made not by AI agents, but by different AI bots or like different market-making solutions and their bots. So it was still not totally autonomous.
Sorry, thank you. And this is exactly what the problem is. I think everybody wants to jump on the hype cycle, which is very usual for our industry. And we can have a whole separate discussion about how disappointed I am with the entire industry over the course of the last 5-6 years, which we built jack shit of value. Everybody just does the same crap, but that's a different story. What it ultimately comes down to is the last thing that this right now needs in order to actually be implemented globally is more intelligence. Intelligence is we've got enough of that. What's absolutely missing is the accountability. So in many ways, when it comes to regulated finance, when it comes to healthcare, when it comes to, like, there are regulations in place left, right, and center. I've had my fair share, specifically during, since I founded Copper, standing in and out of the SEC or the FCA or BaFin or I don't know what, which was a pain in the ass to say the least. Those guys are not going away. So if at all, specifically if we talk about autonomous decision-making, intelligent decision-making on the basis of AI models left, right, and center, and there's so much happening, like you think you're on top of the things this week, next week you're completely, it's such a quantum leap, it's absolutely incredible. So that intelligence layer is not what is needed with regards to what you would consider progress. What it ultimately is, where we go back to, like, how do you get adoption? It's only being seen as a liability. So you don't have that progress if you don't solve for core issues. Now, seeing all those businesses come up globally, solving for that in some, and I mean more like the efficiency layer and everything else, be faster, be better decision making, and it can do this now and it can do that now. We should actually take a step back and try to figure out how we can make sure that we don't screw it, because maybe I phrased this a little bit wrong. What it ultimately comes down to is the fact that it will be killed in its infancy if we don't solve for those specific problems. Like SEB, I'm just going to single you out right now. You guys are not going to integrate jack shit and use it specifically when it comes to trading or moving money if it's not compliant, right? It's as simple as. And the same, like I say, when I said this earlier, like my cypherpunk in myself goes like, please veto the Clarity Act. The guy that actually would like to see DLT technologies implemented globally goes like, please get it done before July 4th. But we will see what will happen.
Mm-hmm. Devon, do you have any thoughts on the discussion so far? I can also ask the next question if you'd rather sit this one out.
Either way is fine, right? An agent is simply, it makes decisions based on the rules you give it to, you tell it to. We've got a little bit left and right as to like what this means in terms of the industry that we're in, but it's really like the utility behind it is what the company has set it to be, how you do this, and if or not your strategy is intelligent or not. So yeah, you can go to the next question.
All right. I think now that we know a bit about what an agent is, we know how everyone's sort of feeling about AI or the crypto industry in general. I think what I would like to sort of get into next is to talk a bit about what specific examples of agentic finance have you seen in the wild, interacted with, used, built, worked on, that are already out there, right? Where do we see utility right now? And then just a little spoiler afterwards. In the next step, I want to talk a bit about what's maybe missing, and I'm sure Boris, for example, has the answer there with Concordium. But I think it would be interesting for me to see sort of the current state of agentic finance. What do you see working? Ideally, sort of involved in blockchain. Can also be just maybe internally at SEB, if you can share some of the things that are happening there. And then, yeah, so I think that that's the question. And as a last thing, AI doesn't necessarily always have to mean language model, right? I think that's also a thing. AI is so conflated with the general transformer language model at the moment. There's other machine learning approaches that, technically speaking, fall under the same category and are maybe, when we talk about financial actions, more relevant. But yeah, Devon, maybe you start, since you're literally building an agentic finance product.
Yeah, sure. So the strongest agent, as you know, you've discussed, right? You said, oh, we were able to let go of some of our team because Opus came out. These are different models. That's what, you know, Sonnet versus Opus are different models. So the strongest agent has the best data and runs on the best model. And it's not whether or not, you know, you can automate a task with Claude or not. It's how you're using this data in order to complete an agenda. So, you mentioned we're building an AI product. What we're doing is we are building an AI product on chain, and this is to help the financial structure of any organization that uses us by making it so that they can essentially make more money by getting the users what they want and figuring out what that user wants. And this is what, across the board, AI has been doing. When you sit down and you turn on Netflix, maybe after this conference tonight, your account is going to show you what you might want to watch based on what you've watched. And these are the at every level, this decision-making process is happening, whether or not it's your account automating a transaction on, chain because you've set a rule in order for it to do so, or a system making a suggestion for you.
Yeah, and I guess for your product, right, the appeal there is that you have a machine learning model that does this sort of pattern recognition and then has the ability to, like César mentioned, take action to try and prevent a customer from churning, right, or like a user from churning for a given protocol, right? So that's live and working, and there's real utility already happening based on these systems, from what I understood from your pitch yesterday.
Yes, this is true. So, people are talking about the safety with AI, especially when you're automating transactions, and our model is based off of, it's based off of Swan SF, which I don't want to go too far down this rabbit hole because I want to give everybody else a chance to speak, but essentially one of our founders was the head of AI on the Artemis mission and has had 30 years of NASA grant funding. And what some of his key contributions are protecting astronauts outside of the Earth's magnetosphere, because you get 8 seconds, right, from a solar flare to not good results if you're outside of the Earth's magnetosphere, as you can imagine. So this is AI that people have trusted their lives on because they have to predict the solar flares 72 hours previously. And it's the same thing. If a user leaves, you don't get a warning that your user's gone on chain. They've just churned like 70% of wallets due, according to Dune. So how do we keep people engaging with blockchain products? You have to find an answer, because otherwise it's all based on whether or not the users think that they're going to make money off of it, some speculation. You've said yourself, people produced a lot of junk in the past 5 years, and I can't agree more, but then that hurts the good products that are out there. And we don't want that. Everybody is here today because they know that there's real utility behind blockchain technology, and we want to see something happen with it.
Thank you.
No, please.
I was going to ask maybe Anna next, just to switch up the order a bit. But I mean, you, for example, with your PR firm, I assume talk to a ton of different projects. You run a podcast. You really plugged into the ecosystem. Where do you see sort of, and now you're building something in stealth as well, but where do you see like first actually useful implementations of agentic finance in the real world? Do you have some examples of what you've encountered there or used yourself?
Yeah, so currently we talk about AI specifically on-chain, and everybody talked about the risk convergence between AI and crypto, and the answer was yes. Crypto is the only currency for AI, because AI agents, they're not really able to get a traditional bank account to pass KYC, they only can pass Know Your Agent, so they need something else. They need a programmable digital currency, which is crypto. So we see the acceleration of stablecoin payments. Last year, the stablecoins transaction volume was over $33 trillion, and just this quarter, it was already at over $28 trillion. So we really see a massive acceleration, and it was driven by agentic payments, and as well remittances and different other stablecoin payments. But we see the emergence of a new customer, not just human, we humans used to send all this either stablecoin or other like Bitcoin or other tokens transactions, but we see the emergence of a new customer to which companies need to build for and need to cater for. So we will see in the future a fully autonomous economy driven in majority by AI agents, not by humans, because we even can see by then that one human, of course, majority of people still even haven't tried even ChatGPT or other chat interfaces, but otherwise, if you work in a corporation or if you're in startup world, you obviously probably used some AI agents too. And even if we take example of NVIDIA, Jensen Huang at the annual GTC conference told that 7.5 million AI agents are used by 75,000 employees. So it's really big. And then we see on the stable coins and payment side, the emergence of the biggest use case is is payments for AI agents. And we see that even the different payment gateway companies, they launched their services for these AI agents. Like, for example, MoonPay launched in February their MoonPay CLI. So they enable AI agents to pay in crypto, and they do the conversion to the merchants to fiat. So we see the emergence of the new market. They just recently as well did a partnership with OpenAI, so you can buy crypto just in ChatGPT via their services. Another use case, we see AI e-commerce. It can be both on-chain and as well with fiat. So AI agents can go, they can compare prices, decide where it's better to buy something, they can negotiate, execute the payment, and you get the goods or services. And of course, we have seen for a long time AI trading. It can be both via bots, so currently we see as well the involvement of AI agents. So as I told, they can make more autonomous and more sophisticated decisions. And as well, another use case is for treasury management, for DeFi yields optimization, and additionally for AI infrastructure payments too. And like example, we can see launched by Coinbase, Cloudflare, and other payments, the standard X402, which enables AI, either humans, developers, or AI agents to pay for APIs or for compute or for anything else via this standard, via this protocol, and they already processed over 50 million transactions.
Maybe César on the way back.
Yes, by now it's kind of super obvious that agentic AI is very powerful, very useful, and it is meant to transform the financial industry from the inside out. So that is a fact. And the big banks are are just trying to figure it out how this is going to happen, because it's not clear. Today there is you have to navigate regulations, especially in Europe. We have DORA and the AI Act, and from my perspective, what I have seen is that you can think of it in two different branches. So one is the idea of using AI to automate existing processes, to make it more, to make it faster, more efficient. And this is already ongoing, it's already happening. I can give some examples. For example, for credit risk scoring, for anti-money laundering analysis, for even portfolio optimizations. So you can have LLMs and the traditional models and methods to have like a hybrid algorithms to take decisions and to help the quants to take decisions and to, remove the pain of crunching huge Excel sheets. And since they are multimodal, they can understand slides from vendor pitches and these kind of things. So they can ingest unstructured data in a way that it was not possible before. So this is one way, and it's already happening. And it is possible because you have more control. Right now, in Sweden specifically, we have many initiatives to have computing in-house, so that we will not be necessary to go and do the inference in a data center that is somewhere in the US on cross borders. So there is a huge push to have the infra and the inference and the training of our own models here. So this is very, very important. The other branch is kind of public agentic AI, and this is where the customers will be able to execute transactions based on agentic decisions, and that is really not happening. It's what I have seen. There are so many constraints when it comes to governance, verification, and security. Basically, this technology is not safe enough for this. And I don't know if under the current constraints, this is going to happen or not. So it's still an open question, but there is definitely branches in which is extremely useful and others that are very unlikely to happen. Yeah.
I have a question here for the panel and also everyone in the audience. Who here has given like a blockchain wallet to their OpenClaw or their favorite Clanker CLI locally and had it buy something with X402 or on a blockchain in general? We've got 1, 2, 3 people, 4. So a few people have done it, right? But I think if we would then ask in the next step, who here has used something like Claude Code, Codex CLI, some sort of more agentic AI tool in the last few months? Quick show of hands, right? So maybe 5 to 10% of the people that actually use agentic AI have made a financial transaction using agentic AI, just from the sort of small sample size here. But I think that shows a bit that, like, of course, the agents are coming, and we got to figure out how to deal with them. They're coming for us, and then on the other side, they're not spending our money yet. So that's maybe a good thing, maybe not. But yeah, cool, interesting. Devon, Boris, any other thoughts on that? Where are blockchains necessary to enable more agentic finance? Is it, and maybe I'd love to stick with you at SEB, do you see for the banking sector, is there anything where you're like, okay, we're going to have an audit trail on, even if it's like a centralized ledger that still uses blockchain technology, or do you see these sort of things? Do you see a future where certain technical challenges that you have with AI agents working within the financial sector could be solved by blockchain technology, or do you think this is more of a commerce, B2C, B2B infrastructure thing that needs to happen, or do you see this internally at a company being useful from the compliance perspective and so on.
Very important to make the distinction between the public blockchains and the private ones. There is a big difference when it comes to getting ready to take the risk from the high perspective. What I have seen is that when it comes to AI and blockchain, this intersection, it's still not clear where we are going. So most of the Nordic banks are currently exploring. So they don't want to miss the boat if that happens. Today with the stable coins, you mentioned the volume is really high, but this is not retail volume, right? So this is mostly bot based and high volume payments. So we still don't have this as a. It's not ready.
It's not a consumer product.
Yeah, from the consumer perspective, it's not ready. From the private blockchain, is on the exploration side. Of course, there is a huge potential there, but you need to think about it from a pragmatic manner. Does it really solve a problem or not? Because if handling a paper and having real humans just signing for a multi-million deal takes 10 minutes. Like, what is the point to put an agent into that when you have handling this amount of money on transaction? So actually, the agentic thing is much more potential for the microtransactions, kind of. It depends, of course, on the use case and so on and so forth. But you need to be very pragmatic for the traditional bank's perspective. Like, where do you really want to automate? Does this make sense or not? And it's what you mentioned before about the traditional machine learning methods. Like sometimes you don't really need an undeterministic machine to take a decision which is not even verifiable. So I need to be very realistic on this regard. Yeah.
Any other, Devon?
So one thing that comes to mind when we discuss this is you mentioned you mentioned private versus open blockchains, and then, it got me thinking. Okay, so when we talk, what about information that's being hidden on chain, right? Like, if we're talking about agents and making financial decisions for us and making transactions, what do you think about the NASDAQ potentially being on? Why can't I think of the name? Starts with a C. Why am I blanking? The new blockchain.
Canton.
Canton. Thank you. Thank you very much. What do you think about the NASDAQ moving to Canton then? And how do you think that those transactions are going to happen? You don't know. Okay.
Or do you have a?
Well, I just think that that's a good use case for blockchain, right? Because everybody in that sector is getting all excited about.
Can you just recap the situation quickly for uninitiated people?
So if we think about the NASDAQ going 9 to 5, but if it's on chain, it can be there's all this automation that can happen, and it can be there can be trades done 24/7. What do we?
They were talking about 24/5, I think, initially.
24/5,
or something
okay,
like
yeah.
that. Yeah, but sure.
It will change to 24/7.
This is what I read, but we're on the way to 24/7. Yeah.
But that's huge for agentic finance. That's especially on chain.
Yeah. So you think, and to me, if when we talk about what is needed for agentic finance, and we're getting towards the end, but I think what I would find useful and is to say, okay, for you, when you say, okay, the NASDAQ is moving on chain, that's information that becomes more available or more easily available in a structured data format with a clear API for an agent to interact with, right? So that would be one of the elements of how blockchain can help a financial agent do its work better. I'm sure, Boris, you have some thoughts about identity or like verification, right? As being a concept of where blockchain can help move agentic finance forward. Maybe, Devon, from your perspective, one-word answer plus half a sentence explanation. What is the area, technological area, the problem space where you think blockchain can help financial agents or AI can help blockchain? Yeah.
It depends on the use case, but
Where do you see the biggest sort of gap right now in your work and
in my work, I mean, the blockchain provides transparency, which then gives us access to, as I said before, what a user wants and how we can help this user. Which, again, if you're looking at it from a user perspective, the agent then can make more decisions on behalf of the user in this sense too.
So you'd say information is a really valuable thing. Cool.
Yeah.
Anyone else? A blocker or enabler that blockchain can do for agents and finance?
I mean, there is one point that's important, is like, for what use case? But in a nutshell, Canton, I mean, I know Yuval very well from 2020 already when we started doing stuff together at Copper, but it solves for one specific issue, which is also one of those hype words right now in and around tokenization. The matter of the fact is that you still go through this painful process of having to onboard, Citadel to JP, JP to Citadel, which partially is already there. For those use cases and that type of trading, I don't see a massive use case apart from like solving for the time issue of going 24/7. So it's just a different kind of database that you use in order to trade Apple shares. That's cool. From what César said earlier, is like the idea of financial freedom and autonomy, meaning every single one of us being able to, which, for example, Clarity is covering quite in detail, right? The matter of the fact is I don't know what SEB is paying. I'm a client of HSBC, fucking hate that bank. I've got money sitting there, and the interest rates currently are at 4.2%, and I'm getting 0.75. Like, makes you question why, right? The idea of having a regulated framework that allows you to click a button, move everything into stable coins, and subsequently click another button, even though you might not know exactly what's going on, but you suddenly start to provide liquidity in some pool that pays you 14% annualized, which 14 is crazy as well, but that was the main problem of the last 5-6 years. Of come to my pool, I'm paying you 26%. Where do people think this money comes from? It doesn't grow on trees. There's a coin that's getting pumped and then you get paid. But ultimately what it comes down to is, if you marry those two things up, financial autonomy plus access, a blockchain is a logical place to take it to, because otherwise you're back into a siloed infrastructure like the banks are. I don't want to, SEB's cool place and like all the other banks are cool too. I'm not a fan, but it's like, at the end of the day, what it comes down to is that you have ledgers and silos that now need to try to talk to each other. And ultimately, all of that is being built in the 70s on something called Cobalt, which is still one of the highest paying jobs if you find some old ass that figures out of how to code in Cobalt. But if you want to really make that move from a world that ultimately allows you to access an asset which is tokenized, you're automatically in the blockchain world, right? If you then sprinkle intelligence on with regards to the decision making and everything else, the logical path would be, in order to stay on a blockchain, like forget crypto for a second, on a blockchain layer. But again, that requires regulated frameworks, that requires a lot of stuff before the big boys start coming. And ultimately, it's down to you and me in order to kind of make sure that we push the right things in order to see it come to fruition a little bit earlier. But yeah.
Thank you. I think we have to leave it here. We're getting kicked off the stage. Thank you so much for showing up this early and
Thank you.
listening to
so
us.
Much.